an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, located in Vancouver, Washington, in the United States. And I am excited to be here today. I am excited because I really like the card that I'm going to share with you. It was part of I designed this as part of a sketch challenge for a blog hop. And you will see that when I post the link to my blog for this card today, you will see the blog hop listed within the blog. And so there's I didn't count them. I think there was like 10-ish people that participated in this blog hop, and we all started with the same sketch. And but we all created something very much different. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone even used the same stamp set that I did. And everyone had beautiful, beautiful designs. So I would really recommend that you go and you check out the blog hop that I participated in today. Well, let's see, what can I tell you? We have one thing going on right now, and that's the joining special. Today is the last day. I guess I forgot to say Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. Today's the last day for the joining special. It's $155 worth of your choice of product, and you spend $99, and it's even free shipping on that order. If you have any questions about that, today's the last day. And if you're interested in being one of the Paper Blessings, which is my team, I would love to have you contact me and let me know that you're interested and that and I can answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to just let you know ahead of time, my voice probably sounds a little funny. I've had a raging cold again, or maybe I never got rid of the first one. I don't know. Anyway, yesterday I had no voice. Today I have some. This is a somewhat simple card, so it's a little shorter video, but I have a couple of kind of nice tips to share with you, and so that's why I thought it was worthy of a YouTube video. But I will probably try to speak a little softer and probably try to conserve my voice a little bit. And with that, I'm going to just turn this camera right on down, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to share with you. I don't think so. All right, gonna turn this down, and there we go, and mostly straight. I'm not going to zoom in any further than that because I'm going to be bringing in my cut and emboss machine, just the mini, and I'm going to be using a Stamparatus today. So let me move this chair out of the way. I like to craft, I like to stand while I'm crafting. And here's the card that I'm going to be demonstrating today. And it looks pretty simple, doesn't it? But there are a couple of tips that I'm going to show you that kind of give it this little slightly richer appearance. And I think that you're going to like these tips. So here's the stamp set. So this week, this is the stamp set that I'm featuring. On Thursday, I will show you 3 cards using both images, and that will be a free class on Thursday. It's at 1 o'clock, just like it is today. Sorry, I am trying not to get ahead of myself here. So let me show you the inside of the card. So the inside, I've used this sentiment, and on the outside, I've used this sentiment, but I really wanted a small little decoration in the corners, and so I've pulled that from the Christmas Lights stamp set, and I've just pulled this little grouping right here. That's what I've used in these corners. Everything else is from this stamp set. This paper here, this is glimmer paper, And I wanted to show that to you real quick before we get started. This is a 6x6 novelty pack. It comes in this pack. All 5 of these colors come. These are our in colors for 2022 through 2024. And I am using this color today. In this pack, you get 4 of each of these 6x6 sheets. All right. So today I'm using the Starry Night. I'll just go ahead and tell you what these other colors are, even though I'm not using these today. Sweet Sorbet, Tahitian Tide, Parakeet Party, Orchid Oasis, and then today I'm using Starry Sky. I wanted to let you know that because if you wanted to make an abundance of cards, you might find that difficult with a pack that is only has 4 of each color. Putting my hair back in a pony since I'm leaning forward a little bit here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull over my Stamparatus first. Excuse me. Actually, since I have the glimmer paper here, I'm just going to pull up my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim this first. Then I will bring up my Stamparatus. And can you see? So today is the last day to use this host code. This will be back in view as soon as I take the paper trimmer away. Everything has been cut except for this specialty paper. And that's because I wanted to share my method with you. So since this is 6x6, I am going to cut this so that the ombre is goes from top to bottom. So I don't want it to go from side to side or I'm not going to get the same effect. I want it to go from top to bottom. And my strips here are 1 inch wide. So I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. And then I'm going to, the length of my strips is 5 1/4. And I want all of the dark and a little bit of the light. That's my personal preference. You do it as you wish. So I'm going to line up my 5 1/4 here. And just cut off that extra. Now, I am not going to throw that little piece of paper away because there's probably going to be some other project where this would be awesome with maybe little banner cuts or something and underneath the sentiment. Or there are ways to use this, and because this is slightly more expensive, I think this is worth hanging on to. So that's what I do. It's not very expensive, but it's more than regular DSP. Now I am going to cut this. Oh, I've got a little bit of dirt on here, don't I? I'm going to cut this in 1 inch strips. And I'm going to start from the top and down. And then one more 1 inch strip. So there we are. We now have 3 1 inch strips. And then I'm saving this piece because this circle that's behind my image circle will be cut out of this. So I'm just going to set that aside. Now, I want to show you, I meant to do this earlier and I forgot. This paper is white on the back. So if you're using one of the darker colors like I am and you're putting it on a dark piece of card base, you're actually going to see that white edge. Can you see that? You can see that pretty well. But you may notice that on my card, you can't see that. I'm even going to turn it a couple of different directions. You cannot see that. I'm going to show you how I avoided that. That's what I forgot to grab. That's what I always forget to grab. It's my grid paper. One moment. I just most likely don't even need this, but I like to protect my tabletop. So what I am going to do for these 3 strips and for the circle when I get it cut out is I am going to use a sponge dauber and my ink pad in Starry Sky, and I am going to apply ink to the edges just so that those white edges don't show. Now, if I were using, say, that Tahitian Tide on Tahitian Tide, that white probably wouldn't even show up. But because I'm using a dark color, it does. So I'm just going to use a sponge dauber, and there's a couple reasons for me to use the sponge dauber. Because this is a glimmer paper, there's a little bit of like a glitter texture, and it's a little rough. So even though I have here, right here, I have my Stampin' Right marker, or I have a blender pen set that I could use to color these edges. If I did, I really would run the risk of damaging my tips. These sponge daubers come in a 5-pack, and I'm a little less worried about damaging these. These are disposable if I need them to be. I'm actually going to show you over here. I keep mine, and I have a case for keeping them so that I don't have to use a new one every time I maybe use the same color. But see, can you see that? It's damaging that foam on the end. So I don't want to do that to my pens. So just giving this, just coloring that edge so it doesn't show when I put it on the Starry Sky cardstock. Okay, second one is done. I think I see a little piece of foam there. Okay. Yeah, this is getting pretty roughed up. This is the same one that I used for my project last night when I was designing this card. So if you weren't with me at the beginning, this card was designed as part of a blog hop, and that blog hop, I've already released my blog post, and I will go back and I will edit it to add this YouTube video to it. But I will add that blog hop link to to the description of this video when I'm done. All right, I will go back and do that to the circle when I cut the circle, but I haven't done that yet, so I'm just going to set that aside. So these are actually ready now to be adhered to my card front. So let me back up a little bit, start giving you some dimensions because I haven't done that yet. Oh, I bent my card, darn. We have a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to grab my bone folder and give that a nice crease. And that is now ready once I've assembled my card front. I am going to go ahead and adhere my strips to this, and then I'm going to bring over the Stamparatus and we'll work on this image here. So I know that I'm going to have one in the center and one on each side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere the two on each side, and then I'm going to center this one. Okay? So that's how I am going to do that. I'm going to bring this paper over again. And I know that sponge dauber technique is nothing earth-shattering, but it really does make the difference between something looking like it's just been cut and glued down and something looking like it's been really put together. So I am going to line that up, try to see if looks like I'm pretty straight, and I'm butted up to the top and to the bottom. All right, excuse me, and I'm going to, it is pouring rain right now. I can hear it coming down on the carport roof. We have a metal carport. All right. So I'm going to put that other side up right there. They look like they are about approximately the same. I'm going to push that one up just a skosh. This is why I like my green glue. It gives me time to maneuver a few things. Okay, and now I'm going to adhere my last strip. And all I have to do is center it between these two. I don't need to look at the outer edge. And when you take a look over at my blog, I've posted a picture of the sketch challenge image that we were given. My interpretation is pretty literal, but I really wanted to use this stamp set. Let's see. All right. I'm going to, oh, I just made a little bit of an adhesive mess, but that's okay. I can clean that up. And let's see if I can get that. My sample card last night, I got a little, that center strip, I got pretty crooked. See how narrow this is and how wide this is? But they look closer to the same width as up at the top. So I was trying, that's why I'm fussing a little bit, is I'm wanting to make sure I'm closer, and I am. I'm quite a bit closer. And there we are. Okay, so that is ready. I'm going to just set that aside and let that firm up. I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus now. So normally with the red rubber, you don't necessarily need to use the foam mat. You use the foam mat normally with the photopolymer. But when I was doing my experimenting, for me, in my particular environment, this is what worked best and gave me the best impression last night. So I'm going to use this foam. It's not a hard and fast rule. You use this foam when you think you need it, and that's what I'm doing. So I am going to, I've just got a, I'm going to be cutting this down, but I've just got a piece of, I think this was 4¼ by 5½, and I just centered my image, my stamp, in kind of sort of in the middle of the paper. I'm going to be cutting this out in a circle, so it's okay. Let's see, let me move a couple things around here. I am looking for my, I can use a stamp pad. An ink pad works well underneath here too. And I'm just applying my ink. And it looks like I got a nice even application there. Just going to bring that over, and I have this fun new tool that is a Stampin' Platform, or a stamp platform pressure tool that a friend of mine makes on his 3D printer. Wow, that looks really good, but I see a couple of light spots, and so I'm actually going to apply more ink and do this again. And my magnets are holding that sheet in place, so I'm able to just ink it up again. And use my pressure tool. And that's really pretty. I think I'm going to leave that alone at this point. I actually see one little spot that I can touch up with my Stampin' Right marker, and I may do that after I've cut it out with the circle. Going to use my chamois to clean off my stamp pad, or my stamp. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to bring in my, these are my layering circle dies. Looks like I've got these, a couple of these out of order. Anyway, this is only half the set. The other half of the set has coordinating scalloped circles. Today, I am using these two largest circles. I'm using the second largest to cut out this image, and then I'm going to use the largest to cut out the glimmer background. So I want to make sure that this doesn't slide and move around when I've got this in my cut and emboss machine. So I am going to use my Post-it tape. I'm going to make sure I've got this exactly where I want it. And I'm going to put it in 2 locations. Oh, and silly me, I need to cut it down because this is too big to fit through my mini. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And my husband had a cold, and then he got better. I got his cold, and then I got better, and then he got a cold again. And then before he was done with his cold, I got it again. It's like, And I realize a lot of people are way more sick than us, so I'm not going to gripe. But I would like to feel better. Let's see, all right. So we're going to take this off, and there's our beautiful little church with the trees and the snow. And before I put away my cut and emboss machine, I'm just going to go ahead and get out my glimmer paper and bring over my largest circle. And this barely fits on here. Matter of fact, this is almost looking like it's not going to, which is gonna freak me out just a little bit. Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna move this up a little bit. I'm trying to align the shimmer from top to bottom with what is on the card. Oh man, it is raining so hard. It is just pounding out there. I'm gonna make it. Oops, turn that around. Yeah, because of my back procedures and stuff, I'm actually, wearing masks everywhere I go and still hand sanitizing and all of that because I don't want anything interrupting me having procedures done. And for me to still getting a cold even though I'm taking all those precautions is frustrating. All right, look at that. So I got a circle. I can put this away. We're now done with the cut and emboss machine. I have the Stampin' Up! On Stage convention coming up, and I want to make sure that I'm well for that. Let's see, let's reverse these. Here we go. So now I'm going to do the same thing to this circle that I did to these strips, and I am going to use that sponge dauber and the Starry Sky ink and go around that edge so that I don't have that white edge popping. I'm not worried about doing that to this circle though. All right, so just come in, and again, this glimmer paper is quite rough, so I do not recommend using your blender pens or your Stampin' Right marker to color the edge. I really do recommend using something that can be disposed of if it gets roughed up, and mine is getting roughed up. Mine's getting quite torn up. There we go. Very nice. Today is my daughter's 40th birthday. Pretty special day. So before I attach this to that circle, there's a couple little touch-ups that I want to do on here. So I'm going to take the brush tip, let's see, the brush tip of my Stampin' Right marker, and I'm going to, there's a little flub right next to the cross. Any place where it looks like a snowflake was intersecting with the edge of the circle, I'm going to take that off. So there's just a couple. I'm just barely touching the paper. And I'll bring that up close for you to see. So see how much better that looks? It gives, if the snow dot, in my opinion, if the snow dot looks like it's intersecting with the circle, then it doesn't look as much like maybe a snow globe as if there is an uninterrupted circumference here. So I am now going to center and adhere this to the center of this, and I want to make sure that my ombre effect is nice and straight, and that I've got my image kind of straight on top of that. So that looks, that ombre, you can kind of see the stripe right there. And I am just going to center. I'm going to pick this up because that's just my way of, there we go. There we go. So that's attached nicely. Isn't that finished that beautifully? All right. I am now going to adhere this layer that has the stripes on it. Or the panels on it. I'm going to adhere it flat using my liquid adhesive. You could pop it up, but my goal here was to make a card that could easily, it's got bling because of the glimmer paper, but something that could be mailed without adding extra postage. And then I'm going to show you afterwards, if I were going to add gems, some of the gems that I think would be beautiful on here. Man, my husband works outdoors, and hearing this pounding rain makes me sad for him, especially knowing that he's coming down off of the same cold as me. All right, so that is adhered nice and flat. I'm going to apply dimensionals to the back of this circle. I'm so excited to be going to Onstage. I'm going to the Vancouver, BC event. There are several events all being held on the same day, and I just happen to live closest to the Vancouver, BC. I'm able to drive it. Oops. So now I am going to, I'm kind of looking for, there it is. I can see the placement of my ombre, see the dark and see the light. And I can find my good blend right there. And then I am centering it from side to side, and I'm making sure that that church steeple is nice and straight. And that looks right to me. Nope, not quite. One of those trees is looking a little crooked, isn't it? Oh, I guess it does on my original card too, and I hadn't noticed it. Okay, I'm going to go with the steeple of the church being straight. And there we go. So there is my placement. So this one's going to be a little bit lower than this one was. That's all right. Now I'm looking for, here we go. I have a nice little strip here for my sentiment. I'll stamp my sentiment and the interior of my card at the same time. couple things I don't need laying here. There we go. Ooh, but see, look, I stuck my thumb right in that ink. I'm going to wipe that off before I go smearing that on something. Making me sad. Okay, this is a 5/8 inch strip and 5/8 by 3 inches. And, oh, I didn't put this on a block yet. So here's my sentiment that I'm going to use. It's the Peace to You at Christmas. And I'm going to, that's a little crooked. Try that again. Better. Cleaning my stamp off. And I am going to trim this down to about the same, it's not centered, so I'm going to trim it down to about the same width on each side so that when I use the punch, it looks centered. So there's that. Bring in my inner card liner, message liner. And see if I can get this the first time. It's a little crooked. It was a slanted. I'm going to try one more time. See, I want to make sure I know which way I was slanting. And that's much better. So next, I just have those 4 corners to stamp. And there's a couple of different things that would work well here. See, there's this little like star burst. There's some, looks like snow and stars combined here, or there's a snowflake. Any of these would work on here. I am going to use the same little cluster that I did last night. I'm actually thinking, though, I'm going to switch blocks. Less of a tendency to rock my stamp if I'm using the correct size block. I'm a little crooked from side to side. I'm not going to worry about that because this is a handmade card. This is I want it, I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, but I definitely don't want it to look like it's so perfect that it looks store-bought or something. Although, not sure about all of you, but the last store-bought cards I bought were not perfect. They had issues. So there. All stamping is done. I'm going to put this stamp back in the correct stamp case. There we go. Close up my stamp pad. And now I am ready to adhere my message liner to my inner matte layer. Yes, with having my youngest, her birthday being on Halloween, we've had some wonderful parties and some really great memories on Halloween. And now she's got her own children, and they're making great memories. So that's pretty awesome. I get to spend time with her tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. This is ready to be adhered to the inside. And, oh, scooch that down just a hair. All right, we are now ready to use the punch to decorate the ends of this little strip. So I've got the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch, and there's two different types of decoration. I'm going to use the one that's a little bit more flat. I thought about using the one that was more rounded, but the flat one seems to look really nice with these cut panels. So that's why I'm doing that. So I flip my punch over so that I can center my label. And there we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. First I'm going to double check and make sure. Yeah, that looks fairly good. And that's going to sit right there. So there on the back you're seeing the first one that I did that was crooked, the first sentiment that I stamped. Pretty awesome to have two sides to paper. Here lately I've needed to use it almost every time. I must be a little cattywampus. All right. I think that looks approximately correct. Yeah. And there we are. I've completed the card. Now I am going to show you a couple of embellishments that would look nice on here if maybe you're handing the cards out and you don't need to worry about mailing them, or maybe you don't worry about mailing and using the more expensive postage. Well, I have 4 different packages here, and one of them I already had open and I can't find the open one, so I'm going to have to open a brand new one. So I've got the Iridescent Pearl Basic Jewels, and what's really nice about these is I'm going to take them out of the plastic and see if we can capture on camera. There is an iridescent finish to these, and they pick up whatever color you put them on. Let's see if you can see that. Can you kind of see that a little bit? There's a little bit of pink and green and purple. Anyway, these would look lovely on here, and they pick up that purple and that glimmer, but your postage is definitely going to go up. there are these are called Festive Adhesive Back Pearls. And there are some silver. There's a red, soft succulent, silver, and gold on here. And I think the silver is a nice size. Well, all of them are a nice size, but the silver would look really nice on here. Then we have the rhinestone basic jewels. So these are just clear rhinestones. And oh, one jumped right off and onto the... Anyway, these could look quite nice on here as well. And then there's one more. And this one's flatter. And this one you might get away with no additional postage. These are called the Adhesive Backed Seasonal Sequins. These are in the mini catalog. And there's like a orangey red, there's a green, there's a gold, and then there are these iridescent white, frosty white, and those could look nice on here. If you really had your heart set on putting something on, these would definitely not raise your postage. But that's all that you get in that package, is that many. So that would be something you would have to consider. It looks like there's 25 of the large and 25 of the small. So, my friends, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate so much your time that you've given me. I hope that this inspires you to play around with the Piece to You stamp set. Again, I will be featuring it on Thursday in the free class that I'm offering on YouTube. I'll be teaching 3 cards, and the kits will be available for free if you make a purchase in my online store of $25 or more. So just know that. So there will be 3 card designs, and the free kits come with 2 of each design with a purchase of $25 or more. So there is that coming up, but this is what I will be featuring all week. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are inspired. My love to you all. Please stay safe and be well. Hugs.